The Senator from Suffolk, Ms. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President, and through you to my colleagues of this Constitutional Convention. I want to thank each of my colleagues on behalf of my district for the earnest and thoughtful and committed dialogue for this convention. I know that most of us are aware of two things: that most people don't want to change this Constitution, and most people do not want gay marriage. And we meet here to give witness to this Constitution, but perhaps no more expressly than when we, the elected representatives of the people, meet at this convention. The purpose of our Constitution is so beautifully stated in the preamble, and I quote, "To furnish the individuals who compose it with the power of enjoying in safety and tranquility their natural rights and blessings of life." The essence of our Constitution is also described in the preamble, and explains that we as citizens are entering into an original, explicit, and solemn compact with one another, the forming of a new constitution of civil government for ourselves and posterity. So today, during this convention, I inquire to each of you and to each of our constituents, which constitutional right, which you do now enjoy, do you want to give up? The freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, or the right to a trial by jury, perhaps the right to free speech, or the right to assemble peaceably, as we do today, inside and outside of this Statehouse. Why do we wish, however well-intended, to take away the constitutional right to marry from some of our constituents? Do we wish to take it away because some established institutions demand that of us? And why do these institutions make such demands upon us? Perhaps we should read again our compact with one another, the Massachusetts Constitution. And perhaps we need to remember that it is Article 2 of this Constitution that protects and respects the freedom of religion, the right and duty of worship, and I take this right from the Constitution, of public worship, of religious teachers, and of the separation of church and state. Constitutional rights run to individuals, not to groups or organizations or institutions. So I ask, what constitutional rights would individuals that we represent participating in religious activities like to give up? Would individuals who worship surrender their own religion and enjoy a state religion? Would individuals who are clergy like to give up the authority to perform marriage ceremonies that this very legislature gave them in 1692? In Article 1, we discuss, and I quote, "equality of people and natural rights." And we see, and I quote, that all people are born free and equal and have certain natural, essential, and unalienable rights, among which may be reckoned the right of enjoying and defending their lives and liberties, of acquiring and possessing and protecting property, and of seeking and obtaining their safety and their happiness. In 1976, we changed our Constitution and we added that equality under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of sex or race or color or creed or national origin. Throughout our compact, our Constitution, there are countless references to happiness, our pursuit of happiness. It doesn't say in our compact that all people are born free and equal and have certain natural, essential, and unalienable rights except for gays and lesbians. Do we want to make that change? Do we want this compact with one another to say that some of us are not equal? Because of Article 2, no religion or church or sect will be expected or required to marry our constituents who are gay. What about the word marriage scares us when we do discuss gay couples? Why will we, at this convention, give so many benefits in these proposed amendments, but expressly place in our compact, our Constitution, a ban on gay marriage? Now, we realize from earlier testimony so well given at this convention that marriage as an institution has had a very colorful history. It has not been historically one man and one woman. It has been one man and many women. Women were property. Marriage was often about land and inheritance rights. It's also been well treated at this convention that civil marriage is perhaps the healthiest today than it has ever been in the history of the institution. And perhaps this is so based on the fact that people now marry for love and happiness. The Supreme Judicial Court did not amend our Constitution. They interpreted our Constitution, and that is their function. They, in my view, did not hijack democracy. In my view, they did not diminish this legislature. And in my view, they did not dismiss my constituents. They heard a case before them, and they applied the law. What the Supreme Judicial Court did do, again, in this legislator's view, is stunning. Their decision is ahead of our mainstream culture. It's ahead of my own sensibilities. I cannot say that I am comfortable, but I can say that our compact and our Constitution is working. It is working hard, it is alive, and it is well. It is applying in our culture, with our knowledge and our moral development, the principles of equality and happiness. My level of comfort is not the appropriate monitor for the constitutional rights of my constituents. For many of us, if everything was the same, 7 couples sued, the case was heard, and the decision came down opposite. There would probably be few complaints about the process, about the court, or about the public having the right to vote. Perhaps what is really going on is not our objection to the process, but our dislike for the outcome. Perhaps we just don't like the decision. Perhaps we are just too uncomfortable with the marriage word. Again, it's been well established in testimony at this convention and in Article 2 of our Constitution that no religion is required to marry gay couples. It's also established in our Massachusetts and federal Constitution that religions have no right to marry anyone. A church's authority to perform civil marriage is derivative from civil government, and that this government allowed clergy to perform civil marriage ceremonies via a statute here in Massachusetts in 1692. Before the legislature gave this authority, the clergy provided valuable and important pastoral and ceremonial functions, but had had no civil authority to marry anyone. Today, I'm sure, as so often in the past, gay Americans die for our country, adopt our children, and we are silent. Yet we find our voice to take away their constitutional right to marry. The level of comfort with civil unions seems to be growing rapidly, but not marriage, even though marriage is a civil union. But we all know how important words and symbols can be. In prior debates at this convention, we have heard many times, the people have a right to vote. In my district daily, let the people vote. And I respectfully offer that no matter how often that this is stated, it doesn't make it true. I again return to our compact. As a matter of constitutional history, the people have addressed this very point. The people decided at the ballot box on November 5th in 1918, the very process that we are exercising today. The people decided that they wanted the legislature not to vote once but twice, and then the matter may come to the ballot for the citizens' review. On that day, on November 5th, 1918, American women did not have the constitutional right to vote. This process, in my view, to take away my constituents' constitutional right, requires that we, as elected representatives, vote at 2 constitutional conventions. And this process does not direct us to vote yes. Our compact requires us to make a judgment, and we can vote yes or no. A legislator like myself, who feels it's in the best interest to protect this right, who does not wish to amend this Constitution, would vote no. And we have traveled this road before. In 1918, the then governor of the Commonwealth, McCall, he addressed this Constitution. He addressed the Constitutional Convention. And he declared, and I quote, that the mere counting of people does not establish what is right and what is wrong. For justice in every case cannot rest upon the will of the more numerous, any more than upon the will of the stronger. The few who are at that moment stronger and have no right to trample upon the many. And on the other hand, the many who by the power of numbers and democracy are stronger have no right to oppress the few. The public has supported the process that I described according to the debates that all of us have read, to avoid mob rule and to avoid foolish outcomes. The very same threats to family and marriage and even natural law were proclaimed as a nation many times when we wrestled with the voting rights of women, the property rights of women and minorities, the equal protection of disabled and the mentally ill, credit protection and educational opportunities for women and poor people, interracial marriage, and an integrated military. But this is where, ladies and gentlemen, we work this out. It is here in Massachusetts, the Bay Colony, now the Bay State, where we advance the human condition, where we navigate and perfect our understanding of being human and pursuing happiness. For we know that our compact with one another, our Constitution, is not abstract. It is not remote. This compact is contemporary and realized daily in each of our lives. There are some among us where that compact has not been fully realized. We are evolving and growing in our knowledge and understanding of our own humanity. From little things to big, we are moving like a moral glacier to a better place. At one time, we cleaned our teeth with sugar, and we saw dementia and epilepsy and diabetes as manifestations of Satan and of God's displeasure. We are learning more and more about our brain, our genetics, our chromosomes, and our chemistry. This knowledge, in tandem with our compact with one another, that we are all created equal, and that we hold equal claim to pursue happiness. This is the American dream, the nature and essence of America. We here in Massachusetts have always moved the course of humanity forward because of our hope and because of our faith. And we recognize and acknowledge the truth of our dignity and our humanity and that of one another. The truth in Massachusetts is now shining more brightly. Our citizens who are gay can now claim more fully their equality among us. And I believe that we are good enough and we are strong enough to assist in our fellow Americans' pursuit of their equality and of their happiness. Where else in the course of human history, where else on this planet can this progress be made if not here in Massachusetts? I want to thank my constituents for the honor and the privilege to represent them and to participate in this convention. It is perhaps one of the most important and significant experiences of my life, and I am very, very grateful. I do recognize the disappointment and the criticism that my decision has received. I am sensitive to and aware of the difficulty that this has presented to many of my relationships, my family, my friends, my supporters, and my constituents. An open mind and an informed conscience and an honest deliberation of what is right and true and just for my constituents and for the Commonwealth is my concern. And we as legislators at this next vote, we do have the right to take this right away. And we can decide to change the court's action. We have this right. Or we can allow the right to stand. And it is my hope that we affirm this Constitution and the right it affords, because the gay individual is owed the promise and hope of America fully and equally, because that is our compact and that is our Constitution. This compact with one another has always required us to reach beyond our moral and emotional grasp. Then we actually do become the nation that we want to be. It is not always easy or quick to be true to our destiny, but I realize that it is my duty to try, and try I will. And I will try because I know, and we know, that all people are born free and equal and have certain natural, essential, and unalienable rights, among which may be reckoned the right of enjoying and defending their lives and liberties, that of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, of seeking and obtaining their safety and happiness. Equality under the law shall not be denied or abridged because of one's sex, one's race, one's color, or national creed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Question comes on adoption of the amendment. Chair recognizes the representative from Holliston, Mr. Luskoko. The chair would ask the members, I know how passionate the debate has been since the outset, but we have asked another speaker to come to the rostrum, and out of respect to that speaker, I'd like to allow him the opportunity to address the body in a timely way. Members take their seats.